Here I have two Mercedes-Benz A-Classes, specifically the hatchback and the saloon. Production started in 1997 and this is the fourth generation model that I have here. However, it is only the first to be available in a saloon model. The A-Class is the entry level to the Mercedes lineup, and I'm going to be comparing the similarities and the differences between the two. Let's get into it. Starting off with the exterior of the Mercedes-Benz hatchback, this model in particular is the A250e. Now, Mercedes are all about modern and straight line designs. As on this model, you do have the sporty fake air intake look, as well as the diamond dot grille. And also you have the big Mercedes badge, and if one isn't enough, you have the additional one on top too. Multi-beam LED daytime running headlights, and they're also adaptive so you don't dazzle other drivers, as well as your 18-inch diamond cut alloy wheels. Under this bonnet we have a 1.3 litre petrol engine and a 15.5 kilowatt per hour battery. When combined, it gives the vehicle about 260 brake horsepower, so considering it's not a performance model, it's pretty good actually, as opposed to the standard A250, which only gives you about 220. So the battery not only gives you the extra push, but it also gives you about 40 miles of electric range. Down the side of the car, at the front, you have your EQ power badge. This reminds you you're one step closer to saving the trees. On other models, this would be replaced with bi-turbo, such as your high-end AMG. You also have electrically folding wing mirrors and manufacturer tinted glass. So on this side is your fuel cap, and mirrored on the other side is your EV charger point. So when you pull into a petrol station, don't get them confused. In terms of boot space on the hatchback, you do lose a little bit by going for a hybrid model. However, it does still have 310 litres, which is still a pretty decent size. With the 40-20-40 splits in the seats when they're all down, you have nearly 4 times as much. The difference between the hatchback and the saloon is the opening. You have slightly more boot space in the saloon, however, it's much easier to get things into this one. So on the interior of the Mercedes A-Class, it's a super sophisticated, stylish look. You do have two 10.25-inch displays that are integrated. So one side you have your digital display dash, and on the other your infotainment. Mercedes were the ones that made the mark with this. They pioneered it into the automotive industry and they made their mark. For that reason, many other manufacturers such as BMW and also Volkswagen have copied it too, and I don't blame them. It's pretty nice, it's sleek and stylish. Onto the seats in this particular model, this is an AMG line, so you do have the part leather and part Alcantara upholstery. You also get the additional red stitching, which is pretty cool, adds a little sporty touch to it with the bucket seat design. You can also adjust the bolsters and also the lumbar support and the whole seat electronically in the Premium Plus model like the one I'm in now, and also the thigh support as well. So if you're like me and you've got long legs, it provides a really great comfort. And also with the headrests as well, in this particular model you can't adjust them, so if you're super tall it might be pretty inconvenient. So your multifunctional steering wheel also has a flat bottom, so it adds that sporty look, and more red stitching going all the way around the outside. On the buttons on the multifunctional steering wheel, the right side does control the driver's display and the left side controls your infotainment system. With the display, you can fully customize it, so it depends on what it is you want to see, or you can also choose between different styles as well. So you have sport, progressive, understated if you must. And then also your infotainment system is fully touchscreen, but you do have the additional touchpad down here if you'd like to go into that as well. You can navigate the screen using this touchpad in the middle. It's super responsive and really straightforward and easy to use. Personally, I do prefer it as there's no fingerprints on the screen and you're not reaching over whilst you're driving, so safe. Some key points on the center console is you have 3 USB-C charging ports just in the front alone, but if you do forget your lead, you also have the additional wireless charger here. 2 cup holders as well, and if your key battery completely runs out, it's not the end of the world. Pop your keys in the right cup holder and you're good to go. You also have your wrist rest as well, and then also some additional storage in this middle bit here. And also with the Premium Plus models, you do have the additional panoramic sunroof. It does let in a lot of light and it also makes it look like it has more room, however it doesn't. With the sunroofs, you do lose a little bit of headroom, and if you live in the UK, you're probably not going to have it open much either. In the back of the A-Class is where it falls a little bit short. The seats are pretty comfy and they're very similar to the ones that are in the front. However, you don't have the additional bolsters and also the thigh support. But you do have a armrest with 2 cup holders, so it keeps the children happy. And then also weirdly, the middle headrest is the only one that's adjustable in the car. So just out for a test drive in the A250e, this is the hatchback model. The electric battery definitely makes the drive what it is. It's super quiet, really comfy, and you can feel the power from the electric battery under your foot. So the display, even with the sunroof, there's no glare, so it makes it nice, crystal clear. And it's also really easy to navigate as well while you're driving. You don't need to take your eyes off the road for too long. It's pretty safe. So the seats are pretty comfortable. They hug you in, so it's nice. Don't feel like you're going to move about too much with the Alcantara. But the headrest, I'm not really sure. When I put my head back on it, it feels like it's pushing it forward almost.
Looking to buy your next car? At Big Motoring World, we have thousands, yes, thousands of cars across our forecourts because we're big on choice and we're big on what matters to you. Now, if you're looking to sell your car, we will give you a 7-day guaranteed valuation if you sell the car to bigwantsyourcar.com. This means when you send us a picture of your car, we don't chip you down on price like some others. And with no admin fees and instant bank transfers, you get the money straight away. Cha-ching! And did I mention that we also pick up your car free of charge?
On the exterior of the A-Class Saloon, when comparing it to the hatchback model, they look pretty much the same. The same width, same height, the only obvious difference is that they're a different shape, and the not so obvious difference is that it's 5 inches longer. However, it is blacked out on this one, so it makes it look a little bit more sporty, a little bit more boy racer. The design, the headlights and the 18-inch alloy wheels are the same as the hatchback, but it's on the inside is where you'll see the difference. Over to the back of the car. One thing that you probably wouldn't notice is that the rear lights are a little bit longer and I think they look a lot cooler. A nice touch with the A-Class Saloon is you can actually open the boot from the key and it opens all the way up. In terms of boot space, there's only 5 litres difference, so it makes it 315 instead of the 310, and the actual opening is slightly different as well. It's not as large, it's a little bit more narrow, which makes it sometimes trickier to fit stuff in. Another thing that you can't do on the hatchback model is this. Close the boot with one finger. Because it's not attached to the glass and the whole rear end of the car, it makes it a lot easier. And also because it's a hybrid model, you do lose a little bit of boot room, so maybe if you need that little bit extra, then go for a petrol or a diesel. So the main difference between the saloon and the hatchback is the seats. In this you have physical headrests, so you can actually adjust them, which makes it a lot more comfortable. And the difference in the spec is that this is an AMG line edition, so it's much lower, but you still have some bits. So the materials used on both upholsteries are the exact same, both part leather and Alcantara. However, you can't adjust your lumbar support and only the driver gets the thigh support. It's a bit selfish. Because of the spec of this, and it is an AMG line edition as opposed to the Premium Plus, you do lose a few things. A similarity is you still have the all-important ambient lighting and things like your heated seats. You do still have the screens, however they're not integrated, so it's not as seamless, not as nice, but it still works the same. You can control it from the steering wheel, it's still touchscreen, and also the trackpad down here. And you only have 2 USB-C ports in here as opposed to 3, and you're also missing the wireless charger. Sitting in the back of the saloon feels almost identical to being in the hatchback. However, you haven't got this chunky headrest in front of you, which creates much better visibility if you're in the back. You also still have 2 air vents and 1 USB-C charger, but you're missing the cup holders and the armrest. Okay, so now we're driving the saloon, which is still the A250, so the same engine, same power, same wheelbase as well, so in theory it should drive the same, but we'll find out. Yep, it does. It drives the exact same. It's no different whatsoever. I think the only time you'll see the difference is when you're trying to park the car, as it is only a little bit longer. But apart from that, there's not really much difference, to be honest. The display is much nicer in the other one because it's the integrated screen. So you have 2 dials, so you can see your rev counter and your speed. Whereas in this one, you do only have the one, so you have to pick which one you'd rather see. You also have a setting inside the car on your infotainment system where you can see how much consumption you're using. So if you're in full EV mode, you can see what your kilowatt per mile, so how much you're averaging on your EV range. You can also switch between the drive modes. So you can use Sport, which will use the battery and the engine to give you the most amount of power, the biggest push when they're put together. The EV, the electric mode, will put you in fully electric, so it will use that more so, which helps much more with miles per gallon. Or you can just put it in your standard comfort and then it will choose itself whether it wants to be an EV or engine. And there you have my comparison between the A-Class Hatchback and the A-Class Saloon. We found a few similarities and a few differences, but no matter what you choose, we're big on choice and we're big on what matters to you.